Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne Sportsnet production, available on Apple Podcasts and PodcastOne.
Thanks for checking out the family-friendly version of the Steve Austin Show. This is one that is safe for the entire family, kids and grandma included. And I wouldn't be able to do this show if not for all the great sponsors. So big thanks to DraftKings, not just for being a sponsor, but also for helping all the Steve Austin listeners win lots of instant cash this season playing both one-week fantasy football and fantasy MMA. I know you guys like MMA as much as I do. You know all the fighters' strengths, their weaknesses, you know the matchups, so let all your knowledge win you some instant cash at this weekend's fight night. And it's easy at DraftKings. Just pick 6 fighters, stay under the salary cap, and rack up points based on how your team of fighters performs. You get points for significant strikes, takedowns, submissions, and knockouts. And if you use my promo code STEVE, you can play for free with your first deposit. Go head-to-head with the competition and win big money. Millions of sports fans just like you have discovered the thrill of DraftKings. Now, it's your turn to get in on the action. Get to DraftKings.com now to choose your fighters, and you could win some serious cash this Saturday night. And use my promo code STEVE to play for free with your first deposit. That's promo code STEVE to play for free for your shot at the huge cash prizes only at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com. Eligibility restrictions may apply. See website for details.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production. From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. I'm coming to you from the Broken Skull Ranch way down here in South Texas, Tilden, Texas, to be specific. Ted Fowler, 361, is sitting on my left. Good morning, Ted. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Been raining cats and dogs for 3 days. We ain't been able to do any hunting, and last night, right in the middle of Broken Skull Challenge, it really came down. I guarantee you, I don't have my rain gauge working out there, but I guarantee you we got between 4 and 5 inches out here.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there's standing water still.
I know it. And we're sitting here. We tried to start the podcast over at Teddy's place, and my internet reception wasn't working over there, so we had to come back over here to my place. And Krista was right in the middle of vacuuming. She had a load of clothes in the wash machine. So I said, hey, we got to shut all this down. We got to have complete and utter silence for the award-winning podcast, which has never won any awards. We're going to shoot the breeze here in the open. Then we'll come back in the body of the show and answer the questions that you guys sent in, the questions at SteveAustinShow.com. I posted a picture of all the rain we got, actually a video on my Instagram account, Steve Austin BSR. You can check it out there. Teddy posted a picture on his Instagram account too, Ted Fowler 361. And we were just sitting here looking out the damn window while we're talking on the podcast, doing this open, and Ted says, when he starts pointing at the window, and I'm looking, I can't see through the same window he's looking at, and I'm looking, he keeps pointing. I said, what? What was it, Teddy? I finally saw it.
An old bobcat come crawling out of the culvert.
Well, I tell you what, that bobcat is 20 yards from the window here, and a lot of people have never seen a bobcat in their life. They might have seen a picture of one, but I've never seen one. They're prettiest cats out here, man.
Yeah, they are very, very pretty.
But Ted says, well, Kristen comes in, oh, yeah, I see that bobcat all the time. He lives in that culvert. And Teddy says, well, I wish you'd have told me before I was weed eating. Teddy, right now, due to our alcohol intake of a couple of liters of Jack Daniels on your part and a lot of Sculpin IPA and then Broken Skull IPA on my part and Crown Royal Black, I don't think the bobcat was going to consider you a candidate to be eaten.
He'd probably bite me once and get pickled.
Boy, I tell you what, I was out there getting a workout in. I took a break from working out. I think I probably took about a 4 to 6 week break and kind of recharged my batteries. And, you know, I needed a break. And I started working out about 3 days ago, and it feels good to be back in the gym. I'm glad I took a break because I think my body needed it. And some people will never, ever take a break from the gym, and that's their business. But now that I'm back in the gym, it just feels good to be training again. And I know that, you know, lifting weights and trying to stay in shape is always going to be a part of my life till I'm dead. But Teddy walks by me. He was going in to drop some toys off in my house that his dog stole from my dogs. And I told Teddy, I said, Teddy, I'm drying out. The party's over. And Teddy said, yeah, he goes, me too. It's time to cut this stuff out, and we got to get back to business. So, but it was just like I said, it came down. We had a good time for the first few weeks. We lit it up. But, I didn't have any television appearances, nothing like that. And so, we come out here and let our hair down, but it's time to clean up our act.
Yeah, I didn't have any television appearances either, so I just said, what the heck? I'll run amok with you.
God dang it. But it was a fun ride. And don't get me wrong. I got my workouts back on. I'm getting back in a groove. And I'm just training real slow. Nothing crazy. Again, because I'm not going to push the envelope, but just getting back in a groove. And we'll still light it up and have a couple of cocktails on like a Friday night or Saturday night. But we just got to cut out the other 5 to 6 days, because 7 days a week of that stuff. Hey, back in the old days, that was life. But these days, it's just a short ride, and it's time to get back to business.
Yeah, and then getting up early, drinking late and getting up early, that's a bad combination when you're getting older.
Oh, man, well, trying to get out there and get in the stands by the time you clean everything up. And then we're doing work on top of that. If it's not me riding in the tractor, it's Teddy out spraying weeds or running around with the weed eater doing all the stuff he's doing to our
culverts.
Our culverts and our valve boxes for our water system that feeds all the troughs out here for the animals. Dude, enough's enough.
Right.
Uncle.
Yeah.
Who tapped out first? Was it me or you?
You were the first
As a leader, I suggested that it'd be a good time to slow down.
And being a follower that I am, I said, okay. Because you also, if you remember, you said, hey, man, bring it, because we're going like Romans for the first couple of weeks. And being the follower, I said, okay.
Hey, you brought it. You brought it in spades. Like I said, when you requested that third half gallon of Jack Daniels, I got it right. That third half gallon of Jack, I said, okay, I see what I'm up against. This is not a man, it's a machine.
That third one got finished last night, too.
Ted told me a while ago when we tried this podcast over at his place, he says his liver sent him a text message this morning. What did it say?
Uncle.
Mine said, dude, really?
Yeah, you win.
It's funny because it was kind of like, when I look at you, I kind of see what I look like. There's a couple times you had some bags under your eyes, and I just got finished brushing my teeth, and I'd seen those same bags. I didn't need to see a mirror. All I had to do was look at your face to know what I look like, because we were doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't pretty.
No.
And I got a little scruff on my face. You're almost clean shaven. I shaved up the other day when I was dropping my wife off at the airport to go back to Los Angeles. But I'm going to clean up. We're going to head down to Alvin, Texas, down there to UV Power Sports and talk to Shannon. She's tricking out my mule, Buck the mule. I shipped it down from Los Angeles. She's going to put some stuff on it for me. So I'm looking forward to getting down there. So I had to clean up a little bit. And, I was thinking about growing a beard. And my wife said, when she saw that first scruff I had, she said, you're not growing a beard, are you? Because she hates it when I do. And I said, well, I was thinking about it. What do you think? And she goes, So, yeah, I'm going to clean up as soon as we get done with this podcast. You going to grow a beard this year?
No, man, I can't grow a beard. And it's all silver. You saw what I had going on. I was going into town, so I figured as haggard as I looked, I better shave for fear. The sheriff meet me at the line like on Rambo and go, hey, man, I'll take you to the other side of town and let you out. Yeah. Yeah, no, I saw that growth that I had going, the old silver fox there, and I'm like, dude, you hair going every which way and bags under my eyes. Like
haggard and clean cut is a better look than haggard and scruffy. It is.
Correct.
So anyway, I'll tell you what, my wife had to go back to Los Angeles the other day on Friday, and she came back Sunday, and she had to go over there and put out some fires and take care of some of the stuff we got going on with the remodel of our house. So, man, she got a car service. I dropped her off at the Shell gas station here in Tilden, and she went and got everything straightened out in Los Angeles, went and visited her mother. And then last night she was coming home, and I was going to pick her up at the Shell gas station there in Tilden. I was watching my football games. It's been raining so much we hadn't been able to hunt because the roads are so muddy. And God dang, something happened to her flight. There was some kind of discombobulation at the San Antonio airport. And all of a sudden, she sends me a text message because they got Wi-Fi up in there. It says, we're flying to Austin. We've been diverted. And I'm getting on the internet, and I'm trying to find out. I'm logging into San Antonio Airport. I'm trying to find out why the United Airlines flight is going to Austin rather than San Antonio. I'm like, oh, you got to be ribbing me, because she had a 2-hour delay going into L.A., and now she's having all this trouble coming back. I've got her a ride lined up, so I called the place, say, hey, man, she's going to be going to Austin instead of San Antonio. They send a car to Austin, cancel the car in San Antonio, and then all of a sudden the pilot gets on the microphone and says, hey, we're going to San Antonio rather than Austin. So I called the transportation place back and said, hey, hello, we got to change the destination. She's been dropped off at San Antonio now. But anyway, dude, by the time I got into the SUV and went down our gravel road to get on that county road to go get my wife, that road was covered up with water, with 4 or 5 inches of rain out here. It was coming down like cats and dogs. Everything I buy, Teddy, is 4-wheel drive. That BMW, that's all-wheel drive. We got 6 months left on that lease. When that thing's up, we're going to get us a Suburban because it's 4-wheel drive proper. There is a difference. Can you believe how much rain it's got out here?
No, I can't, and I'm looking forward to seeing the pond behind Lone Star. See how much drainage came into that over this past weekend with all of the rain.
Well, I'll tell you what's been interesting in the middle of the property at the duck pond. I mean, that has been like a haven. There's so many birds. I mean, ducks, cranes. There might be a couple of geese out there. I mean, it's just like, almost like the prehistoric days, man. I mean, it's that covered up and it's swampy and it's grown in. It looks badass. But god dang, man, we've got so much rain out here. I'm never going to complain about the rain because we've been in a drought for so long and all of our tanks dried up, and now they're all full of water. So, hell, I'm just thankful we got so much rain. But the deal is, and people say, well, Steve, why don't you go out there and hunt during the rain? So, well, I can hunt because I got Kawasaki mules and Broncos to take me to my deer stands. They're all 4-wheel drive. You can't stick a Kawasaki mule. But that's not the point. I don't want to mess up all my damn roads.
Yeah, I mean, anything that you gain by going out in the rain, you lose 3 times in the cleanup and the maintenance and the repair.
Is the Bobcat back? Yeah. There's a Bobcat running across the yard. Did we already talk about the Bobcat?
Yeah.
God dang it, he's back and he's going on the other side of the culvert. How many times did you get to see a Bobcat? Okay, here's a question. Why do they call the Bobcat a Bobcat? Answer, Ted.
It's
because of the bobtail. The tail.
Oh.
The tail on a Bobcat is about probably 6 inches long, so it doesn't have like a tail like a cougar or a mountain lion. It's out there playing. It's probably playing with a mouse, and the mouse is like, I think you're going to eat me. I don't think we're really playing. Cat and mouse, okay. My wife, Kristen. Kristen, you were on fire on the podcast last week. People loved your appearance. How'd you feel about it? Some people were asking if some of it was sake influenced. What's your answer?
Probably.
Some of it was. My wife happens to be incredibly funny if you actually get a chance to know her. And she has a dry sense of humor. Her podcasting chops are really coming up to par. And I'm thinking about cranking up the Kristen Austin show and seeing if I can make some money off of her. Are you glad to be back at the ranch after yesterday's travel day?
Absolutely.
Because I picked you up yesterday.
I'm make it back here.
I wore camouflage shorts, the same stuff I got on right now, camouflage shorts, a camouflage jacket, but I had on my mud boots up to my knees. So I get out of a BMW at the Shell gas station, redneck as hell. Got mud boots on and all camo and a cap. I thank the driver. I take care of him. I grab the suitcase, I throw it in the back, and I said, let's go. And Teddy, it's raining so damn hard on that dark-ass road, 15 miles. That's the slowest I've ever driven on that road. Probably since I bought the ranch, I was held down to about 40, 45, and you just couldn't see in front of you because it's pitch black, raining, cats and dogs.
Yeah, that's brutal driving conditions. I mean, if you're going to have an accident, that will certainly add to your chances.
But we didn't have an accident. My wonderful, illustrious wife is back here, and with that being said, you know what that means, Teddy?
That means one more time you delivered your baby girl.
True, but it means more than that. And I thank you for bringing that up. As a leader, I take pride in being able to take care of my family, but now it means we say goodbye to the 2-course meals. I told Teddy, I said, hey, man, when my wife leaves, everything changes. I said, we're going to do a meat and either a green or a carb. So Teddy would come over. I think I'd throw a package of chicken thighs or something. Oh, we did backstrap. We did backstrap 2 nights in a row. Backstrap and a can of beans on one night, and then the next night I said, to hell with the beans. We just go in backstrap. So it turned into a one-course meal. So, Teddy, the salads are back.
All right.
The other course is back, and obviously we'll have a protein. So it's always nice. We both enjoy my wife's company. Me in particular, I'm married to her. I didn't commit to her for the rest of my life because I like to be around her, but god dang. And I don't mind going back into guy mode, but, dude, as guys, everything changes.
Oh, yeah, dude. We were working on that meatloaf, you know. And you can make all kinds of different meal options out of meatloaf.
And let me expound upon that. You know, Kristen makes a turkey meatloaf. We get 93.7 turkey, and she made us 2 meatloafs that we could eat on, and they lasted until she got back.
Right.
Those are our daytime meals. You know, we eat 4 pounds of meatloaf. Yeah. So between the two of us, and, you know, and my wife says, "You gonna make a meatloaf sandwich?" And I'm like, "A meatloaf sandwich? I've never made a meatloaf sandwich in my life." But then I started thinking about it, and I made 2 meatloaf sandwiches. Pretty damn good. All you got to do is get some bread, whatever kind of bread you want. Put mayonnaise on one, put mustard on the other, and slice the meatloaf so it's about a half-inch thick. Put a little ring or ketchup around the top of it, salt and pepper it. Put the piece of mustard bread on top, and you got yourself a meatloaf sandwich. Kristen, there have been some people that want to get your meatloaf, turkey meatloaf recipe. How are you going to put that out there? People want to know about your meatloaf, turkey meatloaf recipe.
Well, just know I don't measure anything. I just kind of put stuff in a...
My wife is one of those. I mean, cooking is her passion. So she's like one of those savants, and she's an awesome cook. If she wasn't, I'd tell you. She's an awesome cook. But that's the thing. When she starts cooking, she will run me out of the kitchen because she don't want me around her. So she don't really weigh or measure anything. She just does it all by eye. Teddy, I'm a timer. Like if I put a steak, you know, like when I put those chicken thighs on there, I can see this Broken Skull Ranch clock, those second hand spin around like a rotisserie chicken, but I'm looking to that minute hand. When I put those thighs on my pit, I'm a timer. And I'll try one, or if I got to cut something, I will, or I'll push on something. But other than that, I'm a timer, and I don't really have to check it. I look by time, I see what my flame's doing. How do you cook?
I'm a timer as well. When I cook steaks at the house, or a steak at the house, I'll set the timer on my phone. You know, do the same thing, 3 burners, heat the pit up, turn the middle one off. That's where the steak will go. Turn the 2 side ones down to, about the same spot. Throw it on there about 4 minutes each side.
What are you grilling over in Rockport, Texas? Because, dude, I know what you eat over here because you eat dinner with us damn near every night. What are you eating over there?
Chicken, steaks, burgers. That's about it. I don't grill the asparagus, so no, I put that in a pan.
What are you doing for your side?
Jack and Coke. No, you know what? It's and because I am such a creature of habit, if I have fish, I'll bake some sea trout or pan fry it, kind of blacken it. I usually will have a sweet potato with that stuff. And I don't know why. I like both of them, sweet potatoes. Cooked steak, I always have asparagus with it.
Right.
And that's it. Those are really the only 2 vegetables that I'm eating at this moment.
You ain't kidding, because I've been hearing you talk about asparagus for the last week. Every time it seems like you and walk in, I love asparagus. I love asparagus. I love asparagus. I'm like, well, I wish it's the Unleashed show. I'm like, what in the hell is it with this damn asparagus? So Teddy loves asparagus. I was like asparagus. What's that, Kristen?
I'll get some asparagus next time I go to the store.
We ain't leaving this ranch until for a couple of days. The roads are so wet out here, it's unbelievable. So when we're able to, maybe I'll get a helicopter to fly some in.
That would be nice.
But anyway, hey, before we get into the body of the show, I said I was going to do a Q&A on my Twitter account, Steve Austin BSR. Y'all sent in some questions. I'm just going to hit the record button and roll and kick it with Teddy, and we're going to answer your questions. But I want to give a shout-out real quick to Ashley from Alaska. She was on a Broken Skull Challenge last night, and we watched it. And, man, I tell you what, she had a real hard time on the Nutcracker. It was 100 degrees that day, and Ashley's from Alaska. She's used to cooler temperatures, and she's a supreme athlete, and she has just a heart of a lion, of a warrior. And she was just so game. That's what I respected about her, just her gameness, and she didn't want to quit. So I want to give Ashley a shout out. I know you're feeling better. We tried to talk her into seeing if she wanted to go to the hospital and get checked up, but she was okay. And we had great medical support out there at the Broken Skull Challenge. So thank you, everybody out there in Agua Dulce who came out there and, watched out for the athletes and Ashley on that day. But I tell you what, that temperature got her, the 100 degrees, and balance was one of her kryptonites. But a shout out to Ashley. It was good to meet you, and I hope all is well with you over in Alaska. Hey, man. We're going to get to the rest of the show here in a minute, but first, my buddy Diamond Dallas Page has a great offer for you on DDP Yoga. Hey, Dallas loves the holidays, and I love a good deal, so that's why he's offering you guys this deal on DDP Yoga. Buy a max pack or a combo pack and get the second one for 50% off at ddpyoga.com/Austin. I know I've been talking about DDPY pretty much since I started this podcast, and it's because it's changed the lives of so many people, from disabled vet Arthur Borman to Jake the Snake Roberts and Scott Hall. Y'all know how many other pro wrestlers do DDPY too. RVD, AJ Styles, Chris Jericho, and even Mick Foley got on the DDPY program this year, and he's in about the best shape of his life thanks to Dallas's program. And if you're thinking about taking control of your own health and fitness going into the new year, now's the perfect time. Take advantage of Dallas's Ho, Ho, Ho holiday sale. Buy a max pack or a combo pack and get a second one for 50% off at ddpyoga.com/Austin. And buy the DDP Yoga DVDs. You'll also get 3 free months of the DDP Yoga Now app. And y'all know how great the app is. You can do DDP Yoga wherever you are, whenever you want with the app. Just access the workouts on your phone or your tablet. So take advantage of Diamond Dallas Page's holiday spirit. He loves Christmas, and that's why he's offering this deal at ddpyoga.com/Austin. So, like I said, now is the time to get started. Go to ddpyoga.com/Austin. Buy a max pack or a combo pack and get a second one for 50% off. And get 3 free months of the DDP Yoga Now app. That's ddpyoga.com/Austin. ddpyoga.com/Austin. Change your life today. Ted, a little spoiler for you. I got you a DDP Yoga Max Pack and a combo pack. Dig that. Coming right back with Ted Fowler to answer your questions.
Nelson Mandela says sports has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire, the power to unite people in a way that little else does. It speaks to the youth in a language they understand. Sports can create hope where there was once only despair. It is more powerful than governments in breaking down racial barriers. It laughs in the face of all types of discrimination. I'm Chris Webber. Join me every Tuesday on my podcast, Fearless or Insane, where we'll discuss athletes, sport, and their impact in culture, politics, and society. Download on PodcastOne, PodcastOne.com, and iTunes.
All right, we're sitting here at this kitchen table looking out the window. The Bobcat is gone. The Bobcat is gone. Teddy, you can relax. You good?
I'm good.
You ready to give out some heartfelt advice to these people that ask questions?
No, absolutely.
Well, and it's interesting because we just got finished talking about having a good time, and we let our hair down for a while. We partied it up, and now it's time to shut her down. Here's a serious question coming out of, I'll just say his first name is Steve. I won't use his last name so we can protect his identity for his privacy. But he says, hey, Steve, I started drinking heavily when I was 19 years old, and I haven't stopped until about 3 days ago. I finally accepted that I'm an alcoholic and have some serious alcohol issues. I talked to my parents about it, and they have my full support. I plan on starting AA meetings. So far, I've been able to manage the withdrawal symptoms pretty well. I just have a lot of irritation, some bad nerves, anxiety. I was wondering if you could give me some advice on the show on how to best handle this issue. I definitely could use some motivation and help from one of my childhood heroes on how to get through this mess. From what I've heard, the first month is always the worst, but I'm just happy that I finally accepted the reality of my situation. I'm trying to address it and get sober before I end up dead, in jail, or with severe medical issues that are associated with alcoholism. If you have any advice, it would be greatly appreciated. Big fan. Keep up the good work, Steve. Boy, I tell you what, I've never been to an AA meeting. I would never consider myself an alcoholic, although in my prime, during the middle of my run, I was a heavy, heavy drinker. I drank a lot of whiskey or a lot of vodka, or if it was wine or if it was beer, I drank a lot, but I was always able to maintain. Anytime I wanted to stop, I was just able, because I'm one of those all or nothing personalities, I was just able to stop. And I can never say that at any time in my life that, if I didn't have a bottle in my hand, I would get twitchy or I would need alcohol. So I've never been that far into it. But I think you're starting off, the way, you're addressing the situation. You're starting your AA meetings. You're honest with yourself. You've talked to your parents about it. You've admitted that you have a problem. So many people are in denial, and they don't want to admit that they have a problem. Clearly, you see that there's not a bright future to the road that you're going down. So, man, I think you're on the right track. And the only thing that I was ever, I won't say addicted to, I used smokeless tobacco for 25, 30 years of my life. And then when my dad had cancer, it was caused by tobacco. That was kind of the light, at the end of the tunnel, and said, hello, this is probably not something you need to be doing, Steve. And so I just stopped cold turkey. And for me to quit smokeless tobacco, the first 3.5, 4 days were absolute misery, and then I never looked back. There were activities that I associated with having a dip in my mouth, like getting in my Ford Bronco or waking up in the morning or sitting in a deer stand or whatever. But, I learned to do those things without the tobacco. Teddy, you were a heavy-ass smoker for years, buying cartons and cartons of cigarettes. With respect to you smoking, and I never knew you smoked until you told me the story a couple of years ago. We don't need to go through that story again, but what was your mindset when you just said, hey, dude, I need to quit, because you were going to go for a jog, you were wheezing, but tell me your method of quitting.
I just stopped cold turkey, man. You start valuing your health, and the light comes on, and it's like, man, I'm either going to die shortly or I'm going to live, for a long time. And if I want to live for a long time, you need to take better care of yourself. And that's kind of how I broke it down and said, I don't want to be wheezing and coughing and hacking anymore. And there's nothing good that comes out of that stuff.
I did the cold turkey thing too. And, again, with alcohol, just like we just said in the open of the show, time to shut her down.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what we're doing. And obviously, Steve, we're not at your level where you're at. But, dude, I've been around the horn, if you know what I'm saying. With 14 years in the business of professional wrestling, I probably drank as much alcohol that you could put in the Gulf of Mexico.
And his admitting that he's an alcoholic and having his parents behind him, I think that's, if you're going to really kick it, there's not a better time to do it than when you have a support system, behind you. Being forced into it, like, get drunk, get in a car accident, get thrown in jail, and then you're forced into that sobriety, that, I think, would be a much tougher transition than, doing it willingly and having your parents support you.
Hey, man, it sounds like you're on the right track, but, I would just say just be mentally strong, be physically strong, and just when you decide to do something, when you make that decision, there is no alternative. And, like when I quit, I just drank a lot of water. And, dude, just be strong. I think you'll be able to beat this. And just like Teddy said, hey, man, I realized a long time ago when I was doing a few things too fast that I needed to slow down because it wasn't conducive to living a long life, or it caused me an illness that would make me live a life that was compromised because I'd, booked myself into a situation, that was not good. Like Teddy, if you kept smoking, how many packs of cigarettes were you smoking a day?
3.
Okay, 3 packs of cigarettes a day. That's 60 damn cigarettes. There ain't nothing healthy about that. And you can look right down the road and see that doesn't bode well.
No, but I've got the same, that same addictive personality where I'm all in or I'm not doing none of it. 60, in retrospect, 60 cigarettes a day is a bunch.
Okay, so, hey, Steve, let's bottom line this and stop beleaguering the point. You're on the right track. AA knows more about it than myself and Teddy. But Teddy's been on the cigarettes. I've been on the smokeless tobacco. I've drank a lot of alcohol in my life. And, brother, when it's time to quit, I just do, and I did, or whatever. So good luck to you, and I appreciate you sending in the question to the show. And you're going to be just fine. I believe you will. Go to another question here. Here's one. It says, hey, Steve, I'm 19 years old, 6'4", 225 from Wiltshire, England, and I'm currently training under Al Snow in London to break into the pro wrestling sports entertainment business. Next year, I'm training in Calgary with Lance Storm, and we'll be very grateful for any advice you can give me on getting to the top in the industry. If it wasn't for growing up watching you and the Rock and Attitude Era, my life would have a different direction. Thank you. This is coming from Toby Emery. Hey, Toby, I wish you all the luck in the world in your endeavor to be a professional wrestler. And you're starting off real strong by teaming up with Al Snow. Al Snow was a guy who helped me when I first got hired by WWF. I spent about a week up there in Lima, Ohio, training with Al because I respected his in-ring ability. Al is a great teacher. He's a great worker. He knows every facet of the business. So you're getting a great start there. Lance Storm, when you get over there with him, outstanding mechanic, technician in the ring, great psychology, a superior mind for the business. Both guys are going to help you tremendously, and on your resume, that will speak volumes. With respect to the fact that you said you watched myself in The Rock and the Attitude Era, dare I say, look at some character development. Look at all the stars that you liked in the business, or all the stars that maybe you didn't like but were successful in the business, and look at the traits or the tributes or why you think they were successful with respect to their character and with respect to their work inside the ring, their presence, charisma, and their promo. Carry your recorder around, record promos, or get you a video camera, record promos over and over and over. Have a log book that you can write your training stuff that you're doing in. Keep a daily journal. Keep a daily journal. I tell everybody that. It sounds like, oh, that's so lame. I don't keep no daily journal. But if you do, you'll either end up with a bunch of great memories or a great book of training that shows the progress that you've made and will help you mature in the business, I think. I was talking with Teddy about this, and Teddy was talking about getting on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, get on the YouTube and watch some of the older wrestlers and watch how those guys, go through their promos.
In watching YouTube stuff, man, I mean, there's when you watch the best of the best, or if you got the WWE Network, you can watch that too. YouTube's got a great search engine, but the current stuff that they're doing right now on Monday Night Raw and on SmackDown on Tuesday is kind of what's going on right now. But, man, if you watch that old stuff from the mid-'80s, which I love, and you can never go wrong with that stuff, watch the Rock and Roll Express and Midnight Express, the Four Horsemen, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, just that mid-'80s stuff. That's my favorite period in the business of professional wrestling. Watch some of that stuff from Bill Watts. Obviously, keep watching Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, but you need to eat, sleep, live the business to actually absorb it and become a great pro wrestler. So that is my advice to you. I wish you all the luck in the world, and I appreciate you sending the question in. All right, here's another question coming in. It's deer season out here at the Broken Skull Ranch, and there's a lot of people who aren't into deer season, a lot of people who aren't into hunting. So here's a question about hunting. Jason here from Wilmington, North Carolina. Just wanted to say you and Ted Fowler make working here on the freight dock at my company a lot easier with the podcast. Keep it up. We will. My question is, what do you do with the excess deer meat you harvest? Besides the obvious tenderloins to grill, do you get any sausage or ground beef made with the hams and shoulders? Hey, man, well, first of all, with the excess deer, because me and Teddy can't eat all the deer that we're taking out here because of the numbers, we give it to a lot of Ted's friends. We give it to some of the food banks and some of the locals around here in Tilden. Not one single deer is wasted out here at the Broken Skull Ranch. And we fed a lot of people out there to do that. And I'm not trying to sound like a martyr because that's what I set out to do. There's only so much deer meat that we can eat, so we give it away. Towards the end of the year, myself, Ted, and my brother-in-law are going to take about 3 deer apiece over there to our processing plant in Victoria, Texas, that my father has used for over 30 or 40 years. And we'll get some, Teddy likes pan sausage made out of it. I'll get some link sausage made out of it. We'll get the back straps cut out. A lot of times I'll take some back straps out, the ones we got in the cooler, and do that myself. But I just simply don't have time to process everything. But, yeah, I get a lot of link sausage because that's probably my favorite to do. We'll get some back strap, and Teddy likes the pan sausage.
And the burger.
The burger, that's what I mean. Yeah. So we'll use that just make hamburgers out of it? Breakfast?
Yeah, breakfast. Make hamburgers, chili, using spaghetti sauce. Oh, I eat it, make tacos out of it. I eat it all year long. I really like it.
Well, and that's the thing. Last year I didn't get anything made, so I was chumming off you. And then we had the big power outage out here, so all the deer meat that we had in the stand-up cooler spoiled. And then Teddy had a hell of a cleanup mess on his hands, so we lost a lot of deer meat just because the power went out here at the Broken Skull Ranch, and that's a tragedy.
Correct. Not that there's anything wrong with buying store-bought meat, but it's just, I think it's just better for you.
Oh man, but it's hard to find venison in the store.
Correct.
I like beef and chicken and all that stuff as much as anybody. But I tell you what, that venison is so damn lean, it's so good, and to your point, you just can't get it anywhere.
Correct.
Or everywhere.
Correct.
Hey, here's one that says, "Hey Steve and Ted, this is from Jamie Yusuf over there in Harlow, Essex, England. Love the show. What's the biggest come to Jesus moment either you or Teddy has ever had at the ranch?"
Man, I would have to say driving that tractor, getting on the side of the tank dams, and that you start getting a little bit of an angle, a little bit of a lean on that thing, and the tail end of it starts getting squirrely. And I mean, boy, I have literally stopped the tractor and turned the wheels and started going downhill. And I said, man, I ain't doing this for fear of tipping that thing over, and 99% of the time, I'm the only person out here, so I that would create one heck of a problem. But that's probably the biggest come to Jesus meeting is I've got in a couple of pickles when I was mowing, and it scared me.
I tell you what, I was thinking the same exact thing, and I thought you were going to refer to the one time you was on the south side of the ranch and you squatted down and the rattlesnake was right there by you and you had your earphones on. That was a come to Jesus meeting moment. But as many rattlesnakes as I've seen out here, I've never really been in harm's way. But riding that tractor, that Komodo tractor, that tractor is 105 horsepower, it's four-wheel drive with an air-conditioned cab, and you're pulling a 15-foot mower behind it. And what Teddy's talking about is sometimes when you mow around the ponds or that frac tank, you're mowing at an incline. And back when I used to work for the highway department, I used to mow the side of Highway 59, in Edna, Texas, and we'd mow those inclines. But these are a little bit steeper inclines. And so when you're mowing and you're tilted towards the pond, my biggest fear is rolling that tractor and ended up in the water upside down and drowning, just flipping the tractor over. So, boy, I tell you what, just like Ted said, man, and we've been doing this for 9 years, and no matter how many times you do it, you still have that angle. And for the most part, it's a safe angle. But when you're mowing along, whether you're in first or second gear, creeping along at 1.5 to 2.5 miles an hour, and you hit one of those big-ass holes that a hog has drilled in there, and your wheels go down in it, it'll make you bite the seat, if you know what I mean. And then I also think a while ago, a few days ago when I was mowing it, that grass was so tall, I felt like I was going to slide down it just because of traction. Those tires are so wore down. But to bottom line it, the biggest come to Jesus moment either one of us had is driving that tractor and mowing some of the tanks around here and being worried about flipping that thing over. Because whether you flip it over on land or you're in water, it ain't going to be pretty.
No.
And, there's a lot of people, a real quick tractor story. Back when we ran 100 acres outside of Edna. My dad had 25 cows out there in a bull. We'd go out there and feed hay and stuff like that. My dad was in the cattle business while he was selling insurance. We had an old tractor. It was just no cab, just a regular tractor, old school. About an 8-foot wide shredder on there. And every now and then you'd run over a damn ground hornet's nest, and those son of a guns would come out there and start whipping your ass. And so, on one hand, you want to just jump off the tractor, but you got to hit neutral, slow down your PTO or turn it off, and then run like hell. But a lot of people, something like that will happen, and things will go crazy. They'll fall off and end up getting run over by their own tractor. It happens every year, either by the wheels or by the mower. So there's all kinds of things that can happen out here. And like you said, Teddy, when you're out here by yourself, on 2,000 acres, and you're surrounded by nothing but everybody else's land and no one's out here, you're in the middle of nowhere.
Correct.
So when you get into a jam, you rethink things out here. It's not like you do things, you think about things that you do out here.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, what could happen if I do this, and is it worth it? Nope. And man, you gotta be able to tap out and say, man, I'm just not going to take the chance.
Hey man, let's shift gears. I got a question from Jake from Loveland, Colorado. I've been in Loveland, Colorado. The first time I ever went skiing was in Loveland. That was about 40 years ago. Anyway, Steve, did you get picked on in school, elementary, high school, and or college for being a pro wrestling fan growing up? No, man. This guy got picked on in the third grade because he was a wrestling fan. You know, I watched wrestling since I was 7 or 8 years old, but it's not like I just talked wrestling with my buddies or anything like that. But I never got picked on my whole life in school over anything. And it wasn't because I was the biggest guy around. It was just like I grew up in Edna, Texas, and there wasn't really too many bullies that I ever remember growing up with. Did you ever get picked on for anything in high school or elementary growing up in Phoenix?
No, man. I pretty much kept to myself. I think my whole high school career I was only involved in 2 fist fights. You know, it didn't happen. I'm sure it happened. You know, I just kept to myself, you know, went to school, played ball, and then went home. You know, I didn't really hang out with many people.
Man, you hear about that more and more and more. And these days you hear about this cyber bullying, or just if you're a bully. If you're a bully in school and you listen to this show, just stop picking on people. Look at yourself in the mirror and just, you know, why would you pick on somebody?
Dude, I think some people just get a kick out of doing that, especially the cyberbullying thing. You know, you cannot be held accountable for your actions because, you know, you're doing it over.
Something.
Yeah, you're hiding behind something. No, some guy's not going to come knock on your door and go, you know, hey, dude, I'm the guy you've been, you know, Facebook commenting to and, you know, wrap you right in the beak. And I don't know, man. People are just idiots about that.
I never understood the whole bully thing. I mean, my wife says because they don't feel good about themselves. Well, man, you need to have a come to Jesus meeting with Jeff. If there's any bullies listening to this show, I ain't got time for that. But no, man, to answer your question, I was lucky, and I feel for anybody that has been bullied or was bullied or is being bullied. And, you know, it's just, I think it's a real, let me go out on a limb. It's a real chicken thing to do, to pick on someone because you either got strength in numbers or they're smaller than you. So get a life, mind your own business, and get down the road. Hey, Jake, I appreciate you sending that in. All right, got to thank another fine sponsor of the Steve Austin podcast, Bowl and Branch. Bowl and Branch is going to help all you Steve Austin fans get a good night's sleep. You think it's enough just to have a comfortable mattress? It ain't. You need comfortable, soft bedding to ensure you make the most of your comfy mattress. And thanks to Bowl and Branch, you can sleep on some serious, luxurious sheets for a fraction of the cost. Bowl and Branch bedding and blankets are made from pure, 100% organic cotton, which makes them really soft. And you buy everything directly from Bowl and Branch, so you're basically paying wholesale prices. I've seen the prices of luxury sheets. They can cost you up to $1,000 in the store. But with Bowl and Branch, you can get luxury sheets delivered right to your front door for just a couple $100. And people love these sheets. Bowl and Branch has thousands of 5-star reviews. Even 3 U.S. presidents sleep on Bowl and Branch sheets. And here's the best part. You can try them for 30 nights. And if you don't love them, you can send them back for a refund. And to get you started, Bowl and Branch is giving you $50 off your first set of sheets when you order at bowlandbranch.com and use the promo code Steve. That's bowlandbranch.com and use the promo code Steve to get $50 off your first set of sheets and free shipping. So order now, bowlandbranch.com, and use the promo code Steve. The Steve Austin Show is brought to you in part by Great Clips. At Great Clips, they want you to love your haircut. That's why they created Clip Notes. Notes that tell them what you like, so you get your same great haircut every time, anywhere. With Clip Notes, no matter which stylist cuts your hair, you'll get the haircut you want. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
Teddy, time for another question. And it's going to come from Clive in Los Angeles, California. Now he's stationed in South Korea. I appreciate you listening to the show there in South Korea. Steve, what apps do you have on your phone, and which are your favorites? You know what? When I got asked that question, I had to get on my phone and see what apps I have. I don't have a whole lot of apps on my phone just because, man, I'm not that much into technology. I would have to say my Twitter account and my Instagram account are up there, but my favorite app that I enjoy is my Pandora Radio. And I enjoy it so much, I actually pay the subscription, the $2.99 or the $3.99 a month, whatever it is, just so I don't have to listen to commercials. I don't like commercials. I know they're part of, that's how the people stay in business. But that's why this show is for free. That's why we have our commercials, so we can pay for the show. And that's why I appreciate my sponsors. And that's why you're not charged for my podcast. Teddy, do you have a favorite app on your phone?
Probably the same: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I don't have any games, any of that stuff. And I download all my music. I don't have the Pandora deal like you got.
How do you download it?
Just go on the Apple,
on iTunes.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I'll buy a lot of stuff on iTunes and just listen to that. And 90% of it is George Strait. I think I got every George Strait album that there is, and I done bought them. I was talking to my doctor the other day. I bought it when he came out with that Straight Out of the Box set. It was like 4 or 6 or whatever CDs, and now he's got out Straight Out of the Box 2. But I lost those things so many times. I bought that the whole box set at least 4 times. This is back when I lived in Bernie, and I was really burning at both ends. But enough of that. Here's a question for Teddy. What's Teddy's take on these home improvement / flipping TV shows? Or has Teddy's friendship with Steve caused any problems with his other friends, like wanting to go to the BSR or trying to get to free SCSA swag? That's from Darren. First of all, Teddy, you don't watch a whole lot of TV. Have you ever been changing channels and come across the home improvement / flipping TV shows?
Oh, absolutely.
So what do you think about them? You dig them?
No, because that's the industry that I'm in, and I think it leads people to believe that it's easier than what it actually is, and But
that's what television does. It always leads you to think things are easier than what they are. Because in life of pro wrestling, it looks like it's all fine and dandy and there's lots of glitz and glamour. But you get out on the road, it's a whole different ballgame.
On the other side of that comment that I just made, there's also good that comes out of it, because people look at a project and go, man, we ought to be able to tear this kitchen apart and put it back together. And then once they tear it apart, the putting back together part, now that's when I get a phone call and go, hey, we started this demo and now we don't know what to do. I did that with the room addition. Some people came in and did a pier and beam foundation and didn't have the slightest idea how to frame an exterior wall. I'm like, dude, you bought all of the lumber. You went this far with the limited amount of knowledge that you had about it. Well, that's where I make my money.
Well, has Teddy's friendship with Steve caused any problems with the other friends? No. I know you got some friends over in Rockport, but you're pretty much a loner. You ain't never once asked me, hey, dude, can I bring so-and-so out here?
No.
What's up with that?
No, I just don't want anybody to, I don't like hanging out with anybody but you and Kristen, really. Yeah. No,
but I mean, it's just like, I don't know. I just, you never have crossed that line.
No, I mean, I asked you for one time to sign a DVD for the daughter of a buddy I played softball with. It's just not my deal, and I'm real open with people because I get asked all the time, man, I'd sure like to go out there and hunt. Well, I'd sure like to have a bathtub full of $100 bills too, but that ain't happening. It's like, dude, it's not my place. I mean, my name is not on the deed. It's not Ted's big old ranch, and I can't do it and I won't do it.
You ain't thought about it.
I turned my levels down a little bit.
Hey, man, here's a question about Broken Skull IPA. I'll answer real quick. It's coming from Adam over there in Coventry, UK. Any ideas when Broken Skull IPA is coming to the UK? It would be great if you could come to the UK sometime. There's lots of people that would like that. Hey, I have such a big-ass fan base over in the United Kingdom. Thank you so much. In reality, Broken Skull IPA will probably never get over there just because El Segundo Brewing Company is a extremely high-quality brewery, but it's a very modest-sized brewery. So we're trying to take care of California. We're trying to get into Vegas and some other places, but we got our hands full just trying to fulfill demand and just, production here in the United States, really in a 4-state area. So right now, that's where we're at. As much as I would love to ship beer to the UK, it would be awesome. Hey, but y'all got a bunch of great beer over there to begin with, and I always have a good time drinking y'all's beer when I'm over there. So swig a beer to the working man. Here's a wrestling question. This is a podcast that many times features the subject of wrestling. Steve, growing up in Massachusetts, my favorite wrestler as a kid was Bruno Sammartino. Given his success as a WWF champion, I'm surprised that his name rarely comes up on guests on your show, and others talk about their favorite or greatest wrestlers. Do you think this is more due to your guests being from different parts of the country and not familiar with him, or was WWF considered to be inferior to other territories? What are the chances you could get Bruno on your show? That would be a great interview. That's coming from Russ Driscoll. Yeah, Russ, it'd be awesome to have Bruno on the show. He's an absolute legend and a huge draw. Here's the reason I think that you don't hear a whole lot of people knowing about Bruno Sammartino's work. First of all, he's one of the biggest draws in the history of the business. But he came up a few generations before I did. This is back in the territory systems and before, really people even had regional television. So a lot of people didn't get a chance to see Bruno Sammartino. Vince, busted all the territories up and, took over the wrestling business, and he started piping wrestling everywhere. But if you grew up in a certain region like I did in South Texas, I wasn't getting what they were showing on television up there in the Northeast where Bruno was. And again, Bruno is an older guy. Like in 30 years and 20 years, there will be less talk of Stone Cold Steve Austin because we'll be 20 or 30 years down the system and someone else will be more relevant than myself. But he had a fantastic career. He was one of the top draws in the history of the business, and I don't have anything but respect for the guy. And I can't think of anybody that doesn't think of, have a high regard of respect for Bruno and everything that he accomplished in the business. He was one of the pillars of the business of professional wrestling. It's simply a different time, different territory, and a lot of guys and a lot of people never got a chance to see Bruno or many other people who are very popular do his business. Hey, Steve and Ted. I love when you guys talk about hunting, as I am an avid hunter myself. I was wondering if you guys ever got a chance to go bear hunting. I live in Pennsylvania and absolutely love to hunt bears. Joe. Hey, Joe. Man, I tell you what, my brother-in-law guides over in Sparks, Nevada, and he's one of the best guides in the United States of America. And he guides on bear hunts. And I've seen a lot of bears, just through some of the stuff that I've done, some of the places I've traveled. And when I come out here and I deer hunt, I got a lot of respect for that deer, and we eat the deer. And like I said earlier in the podcast, if we can't eat it, we give it away. And it's just been a passion of mine since my stepdad, Ken Williams, got me and my brothers hunting when we were 7 or 8, 9 years old, tramping through the woods. It's part of my life. On the bear, though, because I didn't grow up bear hunting, I think of a bear as a big-ass dog. I don't want to fight the dog. I don't want to fight the bear. I don't want to pet the bear, but I don't want to kill the bear either. I'm happy looking at them. Half the joy I get when I go outdoors is just watching stuff, but I just don't have any desire to. More power to you because that's your thing, but it's not my thing, and I'm just happy to look at them. Ted, do you ever have any interest in going bear hunting?
I actually shot a bear one time.
How was it?
It was fun, but it's one of those things that I only needed to do once. I did it archery there in Arizona, and the bear meat was awful to eat it.
I hear it's a little bit greasy.
Oh, man, I had that. Somebody told me, they said, you have to turn that thing into sausage. The only way it'll be palatable. And it was the worst. And I shot a pretty good-sized black bear and gave 99% of the meat away. And I think if people would have cooked it, they'd have turned around and given it right back. But it was just a one-time thing that I don't need to do again.
Hey, man, here's a question that follows right into that one. And I was waiting for this question to come up, and I clicked right on it. It says, hey, guys, before I get to my question, I want to thank you. I've never been the hunting type. I just don't have the heart to kill. But after listening to your reports on the ranch, I have never heard of someone having so much respect for the animals. You guys would be the only people I would go hunting with, probably just take some pictures for you. Now to my question. Steve, have you ever thought about doing commentary for WWE? I think they need some serious help in this. No, I thought this was a social media question. Thank you for the hunting part, though. Yeah, I have nothing but respect, and same with Ted for the deer out here at the Broken Skull Ranch or anywhere for that matter. We try to be very responsible with what we do. But the question I thought you were going to ask, Chuck, was a question later on somewhere, but I'll cover it here. Someone says, Steve, I never really see you post any pictures of some of the animals that you take at the Broken Skull Ranch. Why? Well, there's pictures of me out on the internet with some of the deer that I've taken in past years, but not in recent years, just because I realize that not everybody is into hunting.
Correct.
And I realize now that after being on Twitter for 5 or 6 years, however long it's been, that, you know, if it's social media and, you know, I'm not selling out, I just try to be responsible. And I got a lot of respect for those animals. And Ted will vouch for this. We will take a picture of the deer's horns just for record purposes, but we don't take photo shoots or anything with our animals. We don't take pictures of them, of us with them. It's just, to me, it's kind of a respect thing. I'm out there, and going back to social media, I don't want to post a picture of a deer with his tongue hanging out of his mouth with blood all over the place. It's irresponsible. It's disrespectful to the animal. This is just my opinion. If you do it, more power to you. But for me, I just rather keep my business to myself. I respect the animal. And if people ain't into hunting, you know, I don't like to talk about religion or politics just because they're very divisive. Hey, so I'm not going to force my beliefs on anybody because they're mine and they're private. Same thing with my hunting. I'm not going to force one of my habits on you and provide a visual that you don't need to see or is going to be upsetting to you. It's something that I enjoy, and I do it in my downtime, on my time. What do you think about that, Teddy?
No, I totally agree, man. I mean, we both respect animals tremendously. And I've got better things to do than try to justify why I deer hunt when you post a picture like that and then all the antis get fired up and start, you know, that storm. I don't need to do it, and I don't want to do it.
Hey, man, anyway, that's the short answer to that question. Yeah, bottom line is, man, it's social media, and not a lot of people ain't into it. And, you know, if you are going to post a picture of you with something that you have taken in the field, clean it up.
Yeah.
Put the tongue back in its mouth, wipe it down, present. Don't stand on top of it or sit on top of it and do all that. I mean, to me, that's just disrespectful to the animal. It makes you look like a jerk off. That's the real deal opinion on that. If you're going to pose with your animal, represent. All right, Teddy. Hey, Steve or Ted, one of my favorite things to do with my grandpa when I was young was watching wrestling and westerns. Like you, I grew up watching Paul Bosch's Houston Wrestling. We'd watch on Saturday nights after Bonanza. Hell, I used to always watch Bonanza. We loved watching westerns, especially John Wayne, and anytime he was on, we'd be watching. The Searchers has always been one of my favorites. Still watch it if I come across one. What is yours and Ted's favorite western and western actor? My wife and I love listening to the podcast. She especially likes when Kristen is on. I thought she was going to piss herself when Kristen was making fun of how you were ordering the breakfast tacos. From John Wise, a native Texan. Thank you, John. And Kristen's over here laughing in the background.
I didn't do that.
I know. She told it better when she wasn't on the show. When I think of the westerns, my mind immediately goes to John Wayne and Clint Eastwood, and I think it's 50-50. One of my favorite movies of all time was The Cowboys with John Wayne, when Bruce Dern shoots John Wayne in the back. And this story, I mean, that movie still makes Jumpin' Jim Ross, my friend from Oklahoma, madder than a hornet for a shoot because he shot John Wayne, his idol, in the back. That was one of my favorite movies, but also the spaghetti westerns with Clint Eastwood, Outlaw Josie Wells. I can't give you one movie, so those are a couple of the movies that were westerns that I really enjoyed. Teddy, what about you?
Man, as far as TV shows go, I was a big fan of The Rifleman. Oh, Lucas McCain.
Lucas McCain. Swig of water for Lucas McCain. I agree.
A little Gunsmoke.
Yep.
And then, of course, Clint Eastwood is you know, he's my favorite Western actor. And I mean, I like John Wayne. I just was more into Eastwood. You know, all of his movies. And, God, I'm trying to think. What was the one with John Wayne where... The Shootist.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah, when he's dying. Yeah, that was a good movie. I like that.
Hey, man, here's a question. Steve, first, what's the worst hangover you've had after a night of drinking together, and have you ever had to say to each other, dude, I'm done, I can't drink no more? No, neither one of us never really said that. I remember I fell down a couple times on the front deck a couple years ago. That's a shoot. Well, we looked at each other this morning, and we were just, you know, it was our dry-out period, but not actively while we were drinking. I think I've either fell asleep or passed out a few times, as has Ted. The second time, Ted, how would you answer that?
I think the worst night of drinking was God, when we stayed up all night and left the barbecue grill burning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, that was some time ago.
That was years ago. We don't drink like that anymore.
We have since seen the light.
Hey, this question is from Keith over in Dublin, Ireland. The second question that he had was, has Ted ever been to a WrestleMania that you performed or appeared at? And if so, what do you think of his buddy in complete Stone Cold mode? Hearing your music hit in the Superdome and WrestleMania 30 was the highlight of the trip for me. Thanks, Steve. Keith from Dublin. You been to WrestleMania?
Went last year to Dallas.
Yeah. So what'd you think?
Dude, it was a trip, man. I mean, I've been a wrestling fan for a long time, but it was cool to hear the crowd's reaction. You know, when you come walking out and do your stuff. I mean, those people, they're just rabid fans, and it's I don't know how to describe it, man. It's a trip because I see you as, you know, just buddy I hang out with, and then to watch everybody go crazy when you come out. It's like, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like you said, I mean, we're just
regular
buds.
guys. Yeah.
So so that was the one. I mean, I remember, you know, you going up to Dallas. Mm-hmm. But here's another question before we take a commercial break for the sponsor to keep the show on air for free. If Ted Fowler could take on any WWE superstars, past or present, who would that be?
Probably a diva.
My wife in the background says it'd probably be a diva. They're not divas anymore, and we're not going there. This is family friendly. Jesus Christ. No. Now the women are superstars. There's been a whole women's movement. I mean, the women's wrestling scene has evolved tremendously. I was so glad when they dropped the Divas moniker because, man, I tell you what, they have spun up and they got some talented women down there. So, no, they're WWE superstars just like the guys. Their divas no longer exist. So you can't pick a diva. You're not going to pick a girl. If you're going to go back in the annals of time or right now on the scene, who would your opponent be, Teddy?
Probably Ric Flair.
Good call.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, that guy just makes me laugh. You know, watching some of his old promos, and you know, just that guy was so full of himself. I mean, you had to laugh when you watched him, you know, cut up about the limousine riding and you know, the clothes wearing, and you know. Yeah, I mean, that was my kind of cat, too.
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, he's my favorite pro wrestler of all time. So he just and it's funny because you and me look at wrestling a little bit differently. But me, he either pissed me off or, you know, like the few brief times he was a babyface, I liked him. But, I mean, he was so good at making you hate him.
Yeah.
You hated him.
Yeah.
I mean, you could laugh at his antics. But I was such a wrestling fan. Boy, he would just rile me up, and you know, like when they got the heat on Dusty Rhodes, and he was just tremendous. He knew when to hit the gas pedal, when to let off, when to hit the gas pedal, when to get mean, when to shine them up, you know, high spots, how to go home, the screw jobs, just the intensity without rushing anything. He's one of the greatest of all time, and just this was back when pro wrestling was real. I mean, real. And so I just bought into the guy hook, line, and sinker. So I'm glad to hear you say that. That was about the best answer you could have given. Hey, we're coming right back. More questions answered on the Steve Austin Show. Hey, all you comedy fans out there, and I'm guessing that's pretty much everyone listening to this here award-winning podcast. It ain't never won no damn award. I got something for you. CISO, SEESO, CISO. CISO is a new ad-free streaming service bringing you all the comedy you can handle for $3.99. You get a near-endless supply of top-shelf stuff, exclusive originals, face-melting stand-up, next-day late-night shows, and a catalog of classics. And with CISO, you can get your laugh on anytime, anywhere. They got every episode of Saturday Night Live, including brand-new episodes the day after they air. CISO has The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, the entire Monty Python catalog, and classic TV shows like 30 Rock and Parks and Recreation. And like I said, they got originals too, like Hidden America with Jonah Ray. This is CISO's fake travel show where the places are real, but the people are not. And right now, you can try CISO free for 2 months when you use promo code PodcastOne at checkout. Just go to SEESO.com and sign up for 2 months free with promo code PodcastOne at checkout. That's CISO.com, promo code PodcastOne. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. A little commercial break for the sponsors. Keep the show on the air for free. I took a break to send in part one of the show to Stacy over there at the 90210 in Beverly Hills, and my wife jumped back on her vacuum cleaner, and she was in the back room. And I said, okay, Kristen, we're getting ready to start again. She kept on vacuuming. I said, yo. She kept on vacuuming, so finally I gave her the old, and all my dogs came running. And my wife says, I thought you were sending the show. I said, we're sending part one. Now we're doing part two. You were addicted to that vacuum cleaner. What is the deal?
I was gone for 3 days.
I know, and I didn't clean up nothing. I mean, we didn't hardly let the place get dirty either.
Oh, my God.
Hey, Krista, when you came back from Los Angeles, the house was in pretty good shape, no?
No.
What do you mean? All the dishes were washed. All the cabinets were wiped off.
No water.
All the dog toys were over at my place.
Okay.
I kept this house spick and span.
There's stuff all over the table.
I washed one little clothes.
Yeah, I was wondering. I didn't see much laundry.
Yeah, I washed.
But
Yeah.
you left it in the dryer.
Well, you know, homie don't fold nothing. Well, let me take that back. I do, but because you weren't here, I didn't. Teddy folds clothes because he lives by himself, so I got to admit to folding clothes too.
Teddy's OCD.
But Teddy, Krista gets mad at me because I don't fold the towels the way she folds them. So I got to learn the proper technique. I've been hitting the head with so many steel chairs every time we fold the towels. She goes, "No, you don't fold them like that." So I go, "Okay, show me again." Yeah, is that the truth or not?
It's the truth.
Okay. Oh, here's a sad question. It comes from Peter down there in Glasgow, Scotland. He says, "Hey, Steve, I had to get my dog put to sleep earlier this year, and it was a rough time. Still is some days. Her name was Austin, funny enough. My question is, Steve, how many dogs have you had over the years, and does it get any easier over time? She was 20 years old and my best friend. What age is Hershey, and do you have a favorite type of dog? Take care and swig a beer." Hey, Peter, I appreciate that. Hershey is 11 and a half right now. She's going to be going on 12. And she's actually starting to slow down a little bit. And so it causes some concern for me because, you know, I got that dog when she was a year and a half. And I just hope she lasts for another couple years anyway. But she's got to have a high-quality life. I would have to say that growing up, I was partial to the Beagle because we had one. And then I got a couple of pit bulls. I rescued Sam when I was living in Atlanta, Georgia. I rescued a pit bull at my deer camp in South Georgia on the side of the road. And that dog went back with me to Atlanta, Georgia. It went with me to Texas, and it went with me to California. And then finally we had to put Sam down. We now, I think myself and my wife are very partial to the labs. When I met my wife, she had a lab mix, which she rescued off the streets of Venice, and she had a black lab, Shona. And someone recently asked me, said, "Steve, you don't talk about Shona anymore. Do y'all still have her?" No, we don't. Shona got to be 13 and a half, 14 and a half, and we had to put her down about 6 months ago, and it might have been more recent than that, and it broke our hearts. And so we had put down the dog she rescued on the streets of Venice about 2 years ago. No, that was 4 years ago, because that's why we got Moolah. His name was Brio. And I tell you what, I don't think about it, but I know one of these days it will be Hershey, and that will absolutely break my heart. I'm partial to the Labrador Retriever. Ted had a German short-haired pointer named On Q, or was it Guinness? On Q.
On Q was the last one to go down.
Dude, when you had to put her down, you went on radio silence for a couple of days. I threw you down a couple of text messages. How rough was that for you?
You know what? They're all rough.
Yeah, they
you
are.
know, I mean, I'm on the dogs I got now are 5, 6, and 7. You know, I mean, in number, not age wise. But no, they all kill me. You know,
and there's nothing easy about it. The thing about it was there's this lady. She's a vet, and instead of going to the vet and taking them in to get them put down, this lady has a service, and she will come to your house. And so that's what we did with Brio. And when he was put down, he was in his favorite spot in his dog bed. And the same thing with Shona. She was in her favorite spot in her dog bed. And, well, I tell you what, it's hard to tell those stories.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So Oh, boy, here you got two tough-ass guys talking about a podcast to put dogs down. I don't know, brought a tear to my eye. So, yeah, boy, I tell you what, Peter, 20 years old is an old dog. So, man, you really did lose a best friend, but what a life that dog had by getting 20 years. It never is easier. I dread the day when I'll have to put Hershey down. When we get back to Los Angeles, because Hershey is, coming up on 12, and we have Mula, who's 4.5, we're considering getting another lab, and my wife wants to get a black lab because Shona was a black lab. So probably around February or March, we'll start entertaining the thoughts of getting another dog, and that way Hershey will be able to mentor that dog like she mentored Mula, and Shona mentored Mula, and she got a piece of each one of their personalities, and they each taught her a few of their tricks or their trades. And, of course, she has the personality that she brings to the table herself. So just because it's going to be a heartbreaker, we want to have another dog right there that was able to pick up some of Hershey's traits. Do you ever think about that stuff?
Man, I think about it all the time. And if you look, I keep the same dogs in the same color scheme. You know what I mean? Since you guys have known me, I've had a chocolate lab. I had a liver ticked short hair, and a white and liver ticked short hair. When those 3 dogs went down, what I wind up getting again, another chocolate lab, another, liver roan, and then the white one, that happened my way. So, I don't know if that's a subliminal thing to try to keep your mind off of it like it never happened because, lo and behold, I got another chocolate lab.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, Kristen's father was so funny. Kristen, come here for a second. Kristen's dad lived out in the country near Tehachapi, California. And how far a drive was that for us? 160 miles?
I just remember it's 3 hours.
It's 3 hours away. But anyway, he lived on 60 acres. And he had a black lab, a chocolate lab, and a white lab or a yellow lab. And so anytime one of those dogs died, he would get the exact same color and name it the exact same name.
Yeah.
So what was the name? Bo,
Tess, and Leo.
Bo, Tess, and Leo. So anytime one of those dogs died, he would get the exact same color and name them the exact same name.
Bo number 3.
Bo number 3. And see, here's the thing. Like when I think about Hershey not being here, and if I know that whenever something happens to her, I'll end up getting another chocolate lab because I'm very partial to the chocolate. And that'd be the natural thing to be, we'll call her Hershey. But Hershey's so special to me. She earned her stripes. So I got to give this dog a chance to create its own identity and come up with a different name for it.
She was already named when we found her.
True. You're right about that. My best friends, one of my good friends' daughter had already named Hershey, and I didn't want to rename her because I didn't like Hershey. I love Hershey, and it fits her. But I won't call the next dog Hershey.
No.
Thank you, Kristen. Hey, man, the guy asked us this question about putting dogs down. And hell, I was telling a story about Brio and Shona. Hell, I thought...
I remember my first dog, she was 19 years old.
I know, but you don't have a microphone.
Oh.
No, but the point I was trying to make, I was trying to tell him about putting these dogs down. I thought I was going to start crying on the podcast.
It's one of the hardest things ever to do.
I'm supposed to be the toughest SOB in the history of WWE. I got a heart, damn it. Steve, hey, let's go back to a wrestling question here. Pick this thing out before we turn this thing. Chris, could you go give me my binky?
Yeah, I'm going to need some Kleenex here in a minute.
Yeah, binky to Kleenex. Oh, hey, was always wondering when JR was calling you the rattlesnake, the toughest SOB, and all the other cool names, did he tell you that he was going to call you that, or was it on the fly? And whose idea was it to make the Smoking Skull belt? Oh, man, he says I watched on YouTube that you wanted it changed because the WWF title cut your chin when you were giving out stunners on the show. Well, yeah, the belt I didn't like. The idea for the Smoking Skull belt was the Road Warriors, Animal and Hawk. They called me over and they said, "Hey, Steve, you're Stone Cold Steve Austin. You ought to have your own belt." That was the Road Warriors' idea, and I always give them credit for it. And they were awesome tag team, 2 badass guys, and I wish Hawk was still around. As far as JR calling me all the cool nicknames that he called me, that was just him being the best commentator in the history of pro wrestling. And he made that stuff up on the fly. And, I would never think, "Hey, JR, I'm going out tonight. Would you call me the Texas Rattlesnake?"
Right.
Sure, you could do that on the DL and you could feed it to an announcer, but I didn't. I was out there being Stone Cold. I was from Victoria, Texas. Hell, they came up with the name for the Stone Cold Stunner. I didn't. And I didn't like it at first, actually, but it worked, and boy, it had a ring to it, and boy, it was effective, and I'm glad it turned out that way. But JR was just simply shooting from the hip and making up those nicknames on the fly, and I am eternally indebted to him for his commentary and helping him get the Stone Cold character and persona over the way he did. Underhanded or backhanded compliments a lot of the time, or I don't know why people like him for these reasons. He never heaped praise on me like you would with a traditional white meat babyface. So that was on the fly and the genius of Jim Ross. And since I'm talking about the rattlesnake, here's a question from Rhode Island from Chris. And it says, Steve, longtime fan, have you ever eaten rattlesnake? Well, you're asking the Texan rattlesnake if he ever ate a rattlesnake. Hell no. They always say rattlesnake tastes like chicken. Well, if it does, and since it's supposed to, I just soon eat the chicken. Listen, I've run across I don't know how many rattlesnakes out here at the Broken Skull Ranch, and I got respect for them, and, you know, I'd love to just leave them be, but I got dogs. The ones that I've taken, I ain't got no part of eating because I'm not interested. They totally creep me out, and I don't want to cut one open. I don't want to skin it. I don't want to eat the meat. You know, hell, me, I'd carve that thing up and get the gland that holds the venom. You know, end up dying from the damn thing. But no, I ain't got no interest in eating rattlesnake. Teddy, you?
You know what? I had some at a fair one time. And they just bread it and fry it. That's why they say it tastes like chicken. I mean, it just tasted like breaded and fried, you know, white meat. I had alligator tail at the same time. And, you know, they just deep fry that in that age-old grease, and it tastes like old grease and breaded. Yeah.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. If you used to go out there and then say we to kill a rattlesnake and, you know, chopped his head off, sorry to be graphic on the show, but that's just what happens sometimes. Would you want to go out there with your skinning knife and get the meat off that thing and process it and bring it in and say, hey, Steve, I got some rattlesnake for you to cook tonight instead of venison?
No, man, they creep me out, too. That's why I'm glad Kristen's back, so we don't have to.
Oh, yeah.
We're out of meatloaf.
I'm going to bring in a rattlesnake draped over the barrel of my 410 shotgun, honey. I got dinner.
And I'll go ahead and start whipping up a salad. You take care of that thing.
Yeah, my wife would grab me by the scruff of the neck and say, you can take the window or you can take the stairs. I'll take the window. Crash. Yeah, I don't think my wife's going to be frying up a rattlesnake anytime too soon.
No.
Oh, man, here's a question from Zach out of New Connecticut. It said, how often do you and Ted Fowler 361 shoot hogs? Well, let's just say earlier in the podcast, I was talking about mowing that tank or mowing around the ponds, as was Teddy, and one of our biggest fears is flipping over a tractor. That's our come to Jesus moments out here. And then when you fall into a hog waller, it really scares the hell out of you. So I would just leave it at this. There have been several accidents out here regarding hogs.
No comment.
Yeah. And here, I finally got to the question. It's from John Moore. How many bucks are you allowed to take in South Texas? I own about 30 acres, and we are limited to 1 buck and 4 does in my county. What are the laws where your ranch is located? I was just interested because it appears you guys may shoot multiple bucks a season. Well, here's the thing. Already covered the social media account thing. A lot of people ain't into deer hunting, so I just don't post no pictures, and we don't take pictures. So that's the end of that one. How many bucks are you allowed to take in South Texas? Depends on what county you're in, but the way my ranch is operated on a MLD Level 3 platform means that as long as I get a hunting license, Ted gets a hunting license, whoever comes out here to hunt gets a hunting license. But when you shoot something, I provide the tag. And the tags are provided to me by the State of Texas Wildlife Department by the paperwork that my wildlife biologist, Macy Ledbetter, turns in each year. So it will vary based on the count that we do from an aerial survey. I would just say the number varies every year. And right now, we're probably looking at taking in the range of, 20-something does and in between 10 and 20 bucks. And those are general numbers because I don't want to be specific. But yes, we can take as many as we want up to that number based on what our biologist says. Can you phrase that any better than I was able to hack through it?
Well, I don't know if you want to break down the whole MLD scenario and how the state looks at, what you're doing as opposed to, other smaller ranches that aren't MLD. This county's a $5 county. Legally, we could shoot $5 if you were on a ranch that is not issued the MLD piece, the, managed land deer permits.
Yes.
So doesn't the state give you certain parameters that you have to abide by in order to keep the MLD status?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what those parameters are. I mean, it's doing my paperwork.
And I know part of it is the biologist.
Yeah, it's the paperwork. It's the biologist coming out every year and going through, what's that?
You have to count.
Yeah, we count. I mean, yeah, it's a whole process that is so. It's easier to talk. It's easier to talk about if you were here in person than I could talk about on the microphone because it's hard. It's hard for me to break it down. The paperwork is in place. It was in place when I bought the place, and we're trying to grow big deer.
Yeah, I mean, in a high fence area, the biologist tells us what we need to do to keep the deer herd at an optimum level, and that is how we determine how many deer we shoot every year.
Amount of deer per acre.
Right.
Based on the podcast. If you didn't hear the podcast with my guest, Macy Ledbetter, if you listen to that podcast, you will understand entirely the Broken Skull Ranch Deer Program. Hey, but enough about that. Let's talk about another wrestling question, because this is a good one sent in from Shane in South Carolina. He says, hey, Steve, you've talked about your relationship with Dusty Rhodes all the way back to your WCW days and then into the Attitude Era in WWF. As I watched some stuff from both of you were entering the WWF, I can't help but wonder if the Golddust character was a rib on Dustin for being Dusty's son, but a gimmick that Dustin managed to get over. Everyone thinks that the polka dots were a rib on Dusty that he got over in the WWF. And now I can't help but wonder if Vince tried to do the same to his son, but ended up with the same outcome. What do you think? Rib, or did they know it would get over? Shane in South Carolina. And here's the thing. Man, if I'm guessing, I would have to do some research on this. That might have been Dustin's idea. But if it wasn't Dustin's idea, it was never a rib. Man, I thought that was one of the greatest gimmicks in the business of pro wrestling. I used to travel with Dustin late 95, early 96. When Golddust character was running hot, I was jerking the curtain. I was either the first match or just in the first half of the card. Dustin was in the main events with Shawn Michaels, putting on some of the best matches I'd ever seen. And Dustin had an insane amount of shoot heat, and he was over. There's no way that gimmick was ever designed as a rib, and there's nobody that could have played that gimmick as well as Dustin did. Way back in the day, in my WCW days, and I met Dustin when I was coming up in USWA. Although Dustin is younger than I am, he got into business before I did, so he had about a 1.5 year, 2-year jump start on me, and we finally started wrestling when I was down in USWA, and then we started working in WCW on a real frequent basis, and man, every time I hooked up with that guy, we went down there to tear the house down. We had great chemistry together, and he had supreme fire, and he was awesome as a heel when he was getting heat. Dustin was probably, I'd say, a better worker than his father on a technical level, and his ability to do things. Dusty Rhodes, the legend, speaks for itself. There was word on the street that the polka dots were a rib. I don't know that for a fact, but or what Vince was thinking. But if anybody could get polka dots over, it was Dusty Rhodes, and he did. Dusty Rhodes is one of the most charismatic entertainers and wrestlers, and one of my favorite professional wrestlers in the history of the business, and I grew up watching the man. If the polka dots were a rib, he damn sure got him over, but I don't believe the Golddust thing was a rib. Dustin got that thing over like gangbusters, and I dare say it would be his idea. Can't say for a fact. Were you watching when the Golddust character was on fire and had heat?
Yeah.
What did you think?
Man, once again, we look at wrestling on two different platforms. You know what I mean? You look at it more from a technical, and I look at it from the showmanship of these guys. I mean, you may like a wrestler because he is, it's like you're saying, he's a better worker. I don't, That part I don't know. I like the guys that talk smack. No, I thought Golddust, from the way he presented that character, was just ridiculous, man. I mean, I was into that 100%. Thought there couldn't be another cat that I knew that could pull that same costume and character off like he did.
When you saying ridiculous, you meant good.
Good. Yeah.
It was ridiculously good. All right, let's move on to another question. Steve, Ted, how many deer do I need to hit with my car to be considered a hunter? Tony Romaine, Saratoga Springs, New York. Here's the thing. That's why there's hunting.
Yeah.
Because of overpopulation, those deer have to go somewhere. And when they're overpopulated, they get out in the highways, and they're very dangerous. So you got to control the numbers. And, the way to do that is with hunting. You have to eliminate some of them, and that's just a plain fact that a lot of people don't want to address, but it is, in fact, a reality.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, left unchecked, it's just worse for the herd. Overpopulated, they starve, disease. Yeah, man has to regulate that stuff.
I hit the pause button to look for another question, and as I was searching for the question, Ted turned to me, he goes, "Have you ever hit a deer?" And I said, "No, have you?" And he said, "Yeah." So what's the deal?
I was driving down my road, heading to the store one evening, dark at night, and it's January. Ruts on, young buck. I can see it coming out of the corner of my eye, and it runs right in front of me. I clipped it with the front end of the Dodge, rolled it into the bar ditch. Thing jumped right up, because I slammed on my brakes because I could see it coming. So I was slowing down when I hit it. It turned over a few times in the bar ditch, jumped up and ran off.
Dude, people don't understand how tough those damn deer are. But more often than not, they don't survive, or you can cripple one. When I used to live out there in the country, in Bernie, when I was working for WWF, I used to carry a pistol with me. And this is back when you just carry a pistol, not a big deal.
Right.
But the reason I carried the pistol was not to hunt deer, but many times I would see something tan or white from a belly flopping around a ditch, and it would be a deer that had been struck by a car before I'd come by. So I carried a pistol so I could put the damn deer out of its misery, because you don't just pick the thing up and take it to the vet.
Correct.
And at 5 a.m, when you're trying to make a flight, you can't call some vet or say, "Hey, man, there's a deer that's been hit. Could you go pick it up and take it to the vet?" It just doesn't happen that way. So it's just a reality that I'd rather put the deer down and not let it to leave in the ditch and die a bad death. So that was my thing. But I was lucky enough to never strike a deer. But if you get out there on some of these roads these days, it was just like when I came back from picking Kristen up on the way to the store to get her, there was a spike in the middle of the road, and boys, the old deer in the headlights things just slowed down and, let him make up his mind and cross out of the road. But don't, just start hauling ass immediately, because many times they'll haul ass back across the road. Correct. And you'll end up hitting them. So. Oh, man, yeah, I told that story one time. I saw a deer try to jump over a fence, and he stuck his head through. It was a spike. When he jumped up to jump over the fence, well, he jumped real high. When he stuck his two horns, his spike, in, he didn't make it over the fence. He got his head stuck in the fence. So I pull over, and I'm trying to hold this deer up to try to save its life. Now, one man trying to pick up a 120-pound wild animal who's kicking at me with his back hooves, he doesn't know that I'm trying to help him. He's scared to death because he's hanging from the fence. And so here comes this guy and his mother driving down the road, and they can see what's going on because they lived out in the country. And so the kid jumps out, and he's trying to hold the deer up with me. I said, "Be careful." And we got the legs up. And I told a lady, I said, "You got a pair of wire cutters?" And she goes, "No." He goes, "I'll go back to the house and get some." She gets in the truck, does a U-turn. She goes back, gets some wire cutters, and all I need to do was cut one strand of that 8-foot-high fence so we get that horn out of there. I said, "Are you ready?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Watch yourself." When I snipped that wire, he was able to slip his horns. He just had two little spikes.
Right.
And he was able to slip his horns back through, and he got on his feet and hauled ass. But I saved his ass. Now, I'm out here trying to work on some of his cousins. But I saved his ass. Hey, dude, I got a swig of beer for the deer. Hey, man, Teddy, you got anything you want to push? You want to talk about Ted Fowler Construction?
Ted Fowler Construction is currently closed until the end of deer season.
Ted's got his trailer out there in the damn parking lot. It's raining cats and dogs. I was going to get you to build me something.
No, an ark.
Dude, I had a dream. No, I didn't have a dream. I was making a story, actually. I was going to say that you had a dream. I was going to go out in the barn, and you were making something with wood. And I said, Teddy, what are you doing? And you were going to tell me you had this crazy dream last night. You heard a voice in your head. Someone told you to build an ark. And I said, what are you supposed to do? Put 2x2 of everything in there? And it was about the size of a canoe. So it just needed to be big enough for you, me, Kristen, and our dogs. But I'd actually thought about that. Yeah, you would have you'd be out there building an ark in a barn. So Ted Fowler Construction is shut down until after deer season, and you're out here hanging out. You got to make a run back to Rockport to pay bills and do stuff.
Yeah. Probably go towards the end of next week.
God dang, man. We're trying to hunker down in here for another couple of days. I know my wife, she just got back from Los Angeles, but she'd like to go get some groceries. We're going to Alvin, Texas on Wednesday. That'll probably be the first time we drive down that road just because I don't want to muck it up any more than it's already mucked up. So luckily, we've got a bunch of food in the freezer and we're good for right now. But anyway, Ted Fowler Construction, high prices. But good square work. If you want something done right and done right the first time, call Ted Fowler. On Twitter, he's Ted Fowler 361. On Instagram, he's Ted Fowler 361. I'm Steve Austin, BSR, on Twitter and Instagram. I'm coming back to close the show. I appreciate you guys sending the questions in. If we answered some of the questions that we've answered in the past, it's because I've been hitting the head with so many steel chairs that I can't remember or recall. Thank you very much. All right, everybody, give me the go-home cue. It's time to wrap up this podcast and ride off into the sunset. And we're all waterlogged in over here at the Broken Skull Ranch, so I don't know what that means for the rest of my day. I think it's going to include a lot of cleaning up inside the pavilion. And maybe I'll actually get another workout in. Nonetheless, hey, I appreciate you guys sending all the questions in, Q&A episode today. And without any further ado, I'm going to give you something to watch. I went to YouTube. In the podcast today, someone asked some of our favorite Westerns and favorite actors. And I said John Wayne and Clint Eastwood. But I can never remember if I watched The Searchers or not. So I went to YouTube and typed in The Searchers, full movie. So it's about an hour and 40 minutes long. I'm going to watch The Searchers. I'll make my comments on the next podcast. If you're into John Wayne or if you're into Westerns, check out The Searchers and send me your comments on it at questions@steveaustonshow.com. I was the biggest fan of John Wayne. I just thought he was one of the greatest guys of all time. Some people didn't think he was that great of an actor. I think he had a magnetic presence and so much charisma, it was unbelievable. And I do think he was a badass actor. I think he was unbelievable. He was a hell of a guy, and he lived a hell of a life. I read his book because my friend Jim Ross sent it to me, his autobiography, or was it his biography, whatever you call it. I read the book, and I still got it in my closet and need to send it back to Jim. Huge John Wayne fan, as is Jim Ross. So check out The Searchers on YouTube. I will do the same. Hey, man, new season of Broken Skull Challenge is here. It's on every Sunday night on CMT at 10/9 Central. We got some badass episodes coming. And I'm sorry that the show is not on Comcast anymore. I was just talking to my PR person, and she said, hey, man, it ain't on Comcast no more. So I feel for you guys out there that aren't able to watch the toughest show on television, Broken Skull Challenge. Hey, man, all them new T-shirts I'm wearing on Broken Skull Challenge, they at ProWrestlingTees.com/Steve Austin and BrokenSkullRanch.com. All the new designs that I wore on the set of Broken Skull Challenge. And talking about things that are on Broken Skull Challenge, after the challenge, I would drink Broken Skull IPA. If you live in Los Angeles or the California area, you can find Broken Skull IPA from El Segundo Brewing Company at Total Wines and Whole Foods. Or you can order it from InsideTheCellar.com if you live in a state they ship to. And you can find everything at BrokenSkullRanch.com, including the Broken Skull Cold Steel Pocket Knife. But if you want the best price on the baddest knife on the planet, go to Amazon. It's $75 on Amazon, and use my links when you do. All my Amazon links are at PodcastOne.com. Click on the Killer Deals button in the top right corner of the page, and then hit the Steve Austin Show button. I got Amazon links for Amazon USA, Amazon UK, and Amazon Canada. Just use my Amazon links whenever you're doing any online shopping, and Amazon will kick back a couple of bucks to the podcast. It doesn't cost you anything extra. There's no hidden fees or charges. You can buy it whatever you plan on buying and help out the podcast in the process. When you bookmark it, you can find it easier. You'll also find links to all the great sponsors of this here podcast. I appreciate y'all supporting the sponsors. They're the ones who let me do this for you free twice a week. So big thanks to ddpyoga.com/Austin for a limited time. Buy one max pack or combo pack and get a second for 50% off. To DraftKings, use my promo code STEVE to play for free this weekend. To Bowl and Branch, go to bowlandbranch.com and use the promo code STEVE to get $50 off your first set of sheets and free shipping. To CISO, sign up at CISO.com and get 2 months free with promo code PodcastOne at checkout. And hey, the 60-second AP News headlines are coming up next. Until then, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
Download new episodes of Steve Austin Unleashed every Thursday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.